Today we're installing the AirDog Raptor FRRP. FRRP stands for Factory Replacement Raptor Pump. This is going to go in place of your stock lift pump that's on the side of your block. Now we also sell these. These are the stock. This is the stock lift pump. We also sell these. In fact, this is a line power model AP4943048. We have that on the website. But this will be mounted right on the side of the block. If you see this, you have a stock lift pump. Okay. So we're going to get rid of that because that's junk, and that's been the Achilles heel of these motors for years and years and years, and we're going to replace it with this FRRP. Now the 150 gallon per hour model of this, this just came out this year. This is brand new. This is for the guys that are wanting a little bit more fuel. We offer also the 100 gallon per hour. So we'll go ahead and get started with our install. Today we're installing our FRRP on a 99 Dodge 1 ton. This is a 1 ton long wheelbase. This is the one that's like 3 city blocks long. Okay, first step for our installation of our FRRP is we're going to get the fuel canister out of the way. This is the fuel canister for the 98 to 99s. We talk about this all the time. How can you tell the difference? The 98 99s have a nut right here on the top of them and the fuel filter. Okay, first off on our FRRP installation, we're going to remove the fuel filter canister. The fuel filter canister on these 98 99s, we talk about this all the time. There's a difference between the two. The 98 99s, the early models have the nut on the top of them, so here's a good view of that. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove both of our electrical connections, the water and fuel sensor, and then our fuel preheater there. Okay, now we're going to remove our outlet line. This is the in from the pump and the out to the injection pump. So in from lift pump, out to injection pump. This line, this out to injection pump line, this is going to be discarded. So we're going to remove this from the pump. 17 metric is what you're going to need for this. 17 metric and a 10 metric to remove the fuel filter canister. These two bolts right here. Now the 17 metric line coming up from the lift pump, we're just going to loosen it right here. It's going to be removed as well, but we're going to loosen it at the pump and then loosen it as the fuel filter housing, and then loosen and remove it from the injection pump. Don't worry about losing fuel here. You're going to have to reprime the system anyway, so losing a little bit of fuel here isn't going to hurt a thing. Okay. Don't need to save any of your leak washers. You get all new ones in the kit. Okay. Now we can remove the canister. Two 10 metric bolts at the top, attaching it to the intake. Okay, now simply lift your canister out, away from the intake. There will be a vacuum line right here that will be in your way if you just simply unhook it. This will allow your fuel filter canister to come back out the top, just like this. Now, this is a great view of the stock lift pump. Okay, your stock lift pump and this FRRP only works if you have the pump on the side of the block. This is a great shot of it, and where it is, it's located behind the fuel filter, and directly below. You can always tell whether you've got the stock lift pump on there or not by obviously it being there and the electrical connection right here. If you don't see that electrical connection somewhere close to this plate, then you don't have the stock lift pump on. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and begin removing the pump. What we're going to do first off is we're going to unplug the lift pump harness from the ECM plug. Okay, this is your ECM plug. This is what you get your power supply to your lift pump. Okay, it's just got a little wire holder there that's actually on the pump. This is a jump wire that they use for the 98 and the 99 trucks on stock pumps. This will come in when you have a normal pump. Okay, we've got our stock fuel filter canister out, and this is a really great shot of your stock lift pump. This is where it's located. It's behind the fuel filter and below it. This is the lift pump, your stock lift pump itself. Now we've disconnected it from the ECM harness. This jump from the ECM, this is what supplies power to your lift pump. Okay, now this line that normally feeds to the fuel filter, this is going to be discarded as well. The lift pump's going to be discarded. So to remove this, all that we're going to need is a 10 metric socket, 13 metric socket, the most important tool, the 11 metric wrench, and I'll show you why, and whatever size ratchet that you want to use. So we've got it unplugged from the ECM. We're going to go ahead and remove the pump now. Three studs on top of it to remove it. Usually they're going to be rusty, so a can of WD-40 here will usually help you with this. Now, the lift pump itself has got a line, this line here, this is your supply line from the tank. This comes into the pump, and then you've got your output from the pump that goes into the fuel filter harness. This is quick connect. This is quick connect fuel hosing. You've probably dealt with this before. You just simply pinch the quick connect together on it like this right here, and then just push the line off if you can get it. And most of these trucks are 10 years old or better, so this doesn't go exactly as you planned it. You just gotta keep trying. All right, like that. All right. Okay. This will allow you to get the pump out because you'll be using that portion back. All right, so you've got your 3 bolts loose, your 3 nuts on top of the pump loose. Now, by all rights, this pump should just come out. You should be able to loosen up these 3 bolts and drop your pump right out. If the stud begins to turn, all you do is your 11 metric. You simply come in, take your 11 metric, and get it between the plate and the top, this plate here. Get it between this plate, and you'll see the 11 metric nut that is on the pump that actually holds the pump cover on. These are going to be okay, so we won't have any problems with those, which is good because we dropped our wrench. Real time working on trucks, folks. Sometimes it doesn't go exactly as you planned it. Don't need to keep any of your hardware back. This is all going to be discarded. Might keep it for a rainy day in case one of your buddies wants to keep running a stock lift pump and he drops something like I did. It's good to have a hoard of parts. our 10 metric bolt that holds the line down is right here. This is a 10 metric bolt. This is your last bolt holding the, it's actually just holding the line. But we're going to bring the line off all in one shot. All right, there's the last of our connections right there. All right, our inlet line is going to have to be loosened just a little bit to give some clearance here. And that lets us rotate that up and out of the way. All right. So I know that I was messing up that shot, but here's your stock lift pump. Now you're going to be keeping this fitting right here. This banjo bolt you're going to be using again, and then the fitting going to the suction line coming from the tank. Okay, now we're going to assemble our pump, and we got a few fittings that come. These JIC fittings, these are for your hose. You've got two fuel fittings here, one with a blue cap, one with a clear cap. The one with the clear cap is the one that's going to be assembled to the pump. The blue cap goes to your injection pump, and then you've got these right angles. These right angles are going to be what we attach to our push to lock fittings. Okay. First off, in the assembly of this, or disassembly still, is we've got to take off of our fuel inlet line that we're going to use back. We're going to use this line back because this attaches to our stock fuel line. Now, your banjo washers on this, you can discard because you get new ones in your FRRP kit, which is good. You're going to be using your stock banjo bolt back, and you're going to be using this entire fitting. Now this fitting with this fuel line brace, this isn't going to work. You'll have to cut this off. This is just formed around the line. A lot of people like to just bend these and then just simply slide the line off. I don't like to do that because what happens is these lines are a lot of times rusty, a little bit brittle. So what I do is I cut mine off, and that keeps me from pulling on the line and maybe bending the line enough to let air intrude here or creating a crack in the line. So I'll cut that off with a wheel, but that's what we do there. Now the pump itself, you have an inside, which is the suction from the tank. So this is where this line is going to go, your stock line, and then your out portion. Your out portion is feeding your fuel filter canister. So we can go ahead and build that. Remember, the one you use is the with clear cap on it. It has an O-ring fitting. This is a straight thread, so it's going to go in and go to the O-ring and start snugging up 7/8, and we tighten. Okay, and then we get our 90-degree JIC, or our 90-degree fitting that our push to lock fitting is going to go to. And then we attach our push to lock. And that gives us our assembly going up to feed the canister. We're going to take this off for right now. I'm just going to give ourselves the room to work inside the truck, and we're going to work on our stock line now. Now your mounting hardware, you get that from AirDog as well. You get two Allen head bolts and washers, and that is what holds the pump up. So we're going to modify this line real quick, and we'll be right back. All right, we're getting ready to go back into the truck. We've got our line modified. I just wanted to show you a cut of that. We just cut her off, keep her smooth, make sure you don't gouge anything knock any holes in your line. Again, using your stock bolt back, and the washer supplied by AirDog. I'm going to leave this loose so I can orient it how I want to. I have this side tight, so I'm ready to go back in the truck. Before putting this in the truck, I want to show you that this goes with your motor facing outwards of the truck, and the pressure valve, the pressure adjustment screw, which is this. This is in case you need to increase the pressure or decrease the pressure on your FRRP. This goes towards the front of the truck. That's how it's oriented. Now this is preset. You don't have to do anything with the settings for the pressure, so don't worry about that. This is our hardware bag for mounting. It's 3/16 Allen head that we're going to be using. I just got it on a 1/4-inch drive and 2 lock washers. Okay, now we're going in with our FRRP. Remember, we've left this, our stock, our inlet side, inlet to the pump. We've left it loose. Our 3/16 mounting hardware, we put our lock washers on. And this is going to go on the plate utilizing these 2 holes. Now these 2 holes actually weren't even used with the old pump. This back hole was used as the line. This was the line hole down for the stock line that we cut off. We're going to utilize that hole for mounting. Okay, so your FRRP in, it's easiest to just stick your bolt through the plate here and then bring the FRRP up to mount to meet the bolt. Get a couple turns in and then start your back one. All right. Okay, perfect. Now there's a good rough shot of how we're going to be mounted there. We're going to tighten the pump down before we go any farther. There's no real need to adjust it. There's no need for it, no place for it to go. Now one thing I want to remind you of here is the vacuum line that we disconnected before. Make sure that you get it hooked back up. So I'm going to chase it down real quick. Here it is. Make sure you've got that to where you can get it back and hook it back into this. Either that or you won't have any cruise control. So just be aware of that as we're going back with everything. Just don't get it tucked inside. All right. Mount your pump. German torque specs. Take it to Guten tight. All right. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tighten down my supply line for the pump, and I'm going to orient this clip the way that it needs to be so it doesn't give me any hassles as hooking it back up to the line. And that looks good right there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to connect my stock supply line. Push it till it clicks. That way you know you've got a good seal. Okay, nothing's binding or in the way. There we go. Now we're going to tighten that fitting down. Okay. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put our angled piece, we're going to put our push to lock connector on. That way we've got enough room to tighten in here and we've got access to it. So attach it to our Raptor and we're going to go ahead and tighten it because we've got really good access down here. Straight up is where it really needs to be. All right, that's JIC, so it doesn't have to be super, super tight. Now, our final step is hook up our electrical connection. And look at there, it's short, okay? That's real common. 98, 99s, no problem. You had your electrical connector, your jump connector was included with your stock pump, if you'll remember. So, we're going to take our jump wire back off of the stock lift pump and we're going to use it back. And that just gives us enough extension to get to the ECM harness. It's good that we did that because of the stock clip came out of the old pump. Okay, now I just had to reorient that. All right, now there's our wire and harness. Now this is just for you, going to be for you 98 and 99 guys. So now it's wired in, out of the way. All right, now our push to connect line, I'm just going to put a little bit of petroleum jelly around the push to lock fitting. And this does not require any hose clamps or anything. This is all push to lock. I'm not going to cut this. I'm going to leave this long, and that way I can route it as I need to. All right, with this, with any push to lock fitting, you just simply push it to lock it. Make sure it goes all the way down and engages the yellow piece that tells you that you're home. Okay, now this will be our supply line going to our canister. Now I'm going to leave this a little bit long because what that gives me the ability to do is it gives me the ability to do what I need to do with that, get into the canister where I want to. If I need to make any adjustments, I can cut it off simply and shorten it. I like long, gives me a little bit more flexibility, so I'm leaving that like that. Now all we need to do is put our fuel canister in and we're ready to go. Before we drop our fuel filter canister in, we're going to get our pump set up with our push to lock fittings. Remember the straight connection with the blue cover on it, that goes to your injection pump. With your injection pump, you want to make sure that on your inlet port, and you're not going to be able to see this, but with our camera, we'll try to get this as best I can. Make sure that the stock banjo washer, the stock sealing washer, came off of the face of the pump, because you don't want to double up on washers here because you'll have leak down situations. It's one of those things that'll make you pull your hair out trying to figure out why you've got a hard start. This fitting, just simply attach it into the pump, 13/16 to tighten. All right, tighten our first fitting up first. Now I've already assembled our push to lock fitting to our 90-degree elbow, and that will go right directly to the end of the fitting. And what the fitting that we just attached to the injection pump. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it semi-loose there, and I'm going to go and do the same thing with it that I did with my other line. I'm just going to lube my push to lock up, a little bit of petroleum jelly. Again, make sure that I've got my vacuum line out of the way, and I'm going to simply attach this line, and I'm going to attach it and kind of gauge where it's going to be. I'm probably going to be able to trim this one just a little bit and get an idea. That's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set my fuel filter canister in, get everything hooked up. Now, before we forget it, we're going to hook our vacuum line back in. Very important that you do that, or you won't have cruise control. Filter canister back in. All right, well, there's our first issue that we've had with that pointing directly up. That's not letting us go. That's not letting us get our fuel filter in there. So that's good. We needed that to happen. And another reason why that was good is because we've left our line full length. So now what we're going to do is we're going to loosen this up, loosen up our feed line. Instead of turning our fuel line straight up, our fuel line is now going to be out, away from the pump. So I'm just going to tighten this back down real quick, and that will give me plenty of room to put my fuel filter canister back in. Okay. Now our fuel filter canister goes in and it clears everything. Alright. Check my back fuel fitting. One more time. Okay. I'm going to tighten down these two 10 metrics on the fuel filter canister. All right, real important here not to forget to hook up your electrical connectors again. Get that through my hole. Order a fuel sensor. All right, now to hook up my outlet line from the pump goes to the back fitting on the fuel filter canister. Now you'll notice with this that now that the way we left this long and didn't make any cuts here, that we've had plenty of room to work and make the adjustments that we need. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and hook our line onto our injection pump, and if space will permit us to do it, we're probably going to leave it full length too. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to leave it full length. Now just push it onto your push to lock located right at your injection pump. Remember to get it all the way down. And what I'm going to do with it, I'm simply just going to route it back towards the firewall and hook it up as well to my fuel filter canister. Okay, so that gave us enough line to do everything. We've got everything where we want it, nothing in the way. We got to make one, tighten the line at the injection pump, 7/8, and we are done with our install. Let me get one more turn on this line. Okay, everything tight. There's our FRRP completely installed and out of the way. I'm just going to check my line for clearances here. I don't want it rubbing against any of the steering wheel shafts or anything that's going to rub a hole in it. Everything looks good right there. Got all my electrical connectors, everything hooked up. Now we're ready to start the truck. Now our third video in this installment, we've had our unboxing video and now our installation video. Our third video in this installment of this FRRP installation is going to be how to properly bleed a 24 valve truck.